Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a really fascinating and honestly somewhat unusual piece of advice from Steve Chandler's classic 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself. Specifically, we're looking at section 63, which has a very simple title: Try to Sell Your Home. Now, Chandler isn't giving out real estate advice here. He's actually talking about the mental architecture that we live in every single day. If you've ever felt completely stuck in a rut or found yourself repeatedly doing things you absolutely know aren't good for you, well, stick around because this explainer is going to fundamentally change how you view those behaviors.
Right off the bat, let's address the elephant in the room. If we know certain habits hold us back, why on earth do we keep doing them? I mean, it's the ultimate paradox of self-sabotage, isn't it? Steve Chandler was wrestling with this exact same frustration. He was talking with his coach, Steve Hardison, about a few of his own old habits that were actively, noticeably holding him back from reaching his business goals. And he just blurted this question out. He knew the habits were destructive. He knew they were standing right in the way of his success. And yet, he kept doing them anyway. Why? Actually, I want you to reflect on your own stubborn behaviors for a second. What is that one thing you keep doing, even though you know it's a massive roadblock? Section 1, the metaphor of home. Okay, let's dive into this. To answer why we sabotage ourselves like this, Chandler's coach introduced a really mind-bending concept. He explains that we all have a psychological home. And as we're defining it here, it's a familiar set of behaviors, even deeply negative ones, where a person feels a totally false sense of safety. Chandler points out that this mental home can actually be a dark, damp prison. It can be a pretty ugly place, smelling of bad habits and just pure laziness, especially if it isn't consciously kept up and made beautiful. But here's the crazy part: we refuse to leave it. No matter how bad the conditions in this mental house get, we just stay put. Why? Because we mistakenly equate what is familiar with what is safe. Take a look at how directly Hardison diagnoses this problem. He says, because they are home to you, they feel like home. When you do those things, you do them because that's what you're comfortable doing, and so you make yourself right at home doing them. It's such a brilliant trap when you think about it. Comfort is exactly what snares us. We mistake that cozy, easy feeling of doing the lazy thing for genuine security. But when we actually inspect this worn-out house more closely, Chandler notes that we realize the safety we think we're experiencing is literally nothing more than pure self-limitation, just masquerading as comfort. So this creates a really sharp contrast. On one side, you have the old home. It's static, it's disempowering, it is a literal prison of self-limitation. But on the other side, the new home, it's dynamic, it's filled with goal-oriented activity, growth, and it's built for a much larger mind. Now, once Chandler finally grasped this metaphor, it clicked. He immediately realized he needed to move out of his house. He needed to move up in the neighborhood, He needed a better home, filled with habits that kept him focused on his goals. Hardison coached him until those new, challenging activities actually began to feel like where he should have been living all along. Moving on to section 2, hiding inside your personality. So how do we actually gather the energy to pack up our bags and leave? Well, Chandler shares this fantastic, super high energy anecdote to reframe the whole process. He was putting together a mixtape of motivational music for his car, and he threw on this incredibly energetic track, I'm Going Home by Alvin Lee and 10 Years After. As he's driving around with the volume absolutely cranked up, he started thinking about Hardin's metaphor, but he flipped it. He let the song represent the new home he would always be in the process of moving toward. He realized, hey, we shouldn't be afraid to leave our current psychic home. Instead, we need to get genuinely excited about building a larger, newer, happier home in our minds. Now, this idea of moving out builds perfectly on a profound observation from Gustav Neumann. He's a character in Colin Wilson's brilliantly insightful, though sadly out-of-print novel, Necessary Doubt. Neumann makes this observation. He says that people build themselves personalities exactly like they build houses, to protect themselves from the world. But then they become prisoners of those very walls. And here is the real kicker. Most people are in such a massive hurry to hide inside that they build the house way too quickly. So I want to ask you directly, are you hiding behind walls that you built too quickly? Is your rigid personality actually just a hasty construction you threw together years ago simply to keep yourself safe from taking a risk? Section 3. Drafting your new blueprints. Okay, let's make this actionable. Recognizing that your current personality might just be a hasty, outdated construction is honestly incredibly empowering. Why? Because it means you have the power to tear it down. The crucial part is putting this into a structured action plan. Step 1, you gotta identify the specific habits that are keeping you trapped. Shine a bright light on them so you can finally evict them. Step 2,
Identify what you have decided is your final personality and actively accept that it might just be a hasty construction built solely to keep you safe from risk and growth. Step 3. Once you've accepted that, leave. Seriously, you do not have to stay in that damp prison. And step 4. Get the blueprints out and create the home you really want. Design it with deep intention, centering it entirely around goal-oriented activity. To wrap things up, I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought. What does your new mental home look like? If your current habits are just a worn-out house you settled into simply because it was comfortable, well, it's time to put it on the market. Take Steve Chandler's advice to heart. Draft your new blueprints, get deeply, intensely excited about moving up in the neighborhood, and go live there. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. See you next time.